Hello there and welcome to episode 16 of the Rugby Nats Chat Show, the Christmas episode. Sorry, no Christmas jumpers, but Mike and I felt that we're probably a little bit beyond that now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're a little grown up now. And, don't engage in that. Although, where is my present? Is it?
It's underneath the tree, mate.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
lovely.
it's one with a label on it.
Right, okay, thank you.
Bit of a roundup, mid-season roundup. It's been quite an interesting series of chat shows, but there has been some really standout topics.
Yeah, I think so. From my perspective, I thought two that spring to mind that did arouse a lot of interest and a lot of feedback was certainly the payment of players.
Paying players, yeah.
It did excite a lot of passions, a lot of views. I think for those sides of either side of the spectrum, I think there's no sort of reconciliation there. I think people have particular views about the benefits of paying players, etc. But there was great feedback, and I think that there were some comments and ideas which I think you have to take aboard. The other one I think was the declining numbers, which actually came around in a very strange way, in the sense we were talking about rugby in the West
Country,
which is strong at first 15 level, and then it was pointed out, well, the second 15s are struggling a bit, and then we started to broaden the discussion about second team rugby. Then it came into third and fourth team rugby and about cancellation of games, etc. And then we were looking specifically at the decline in numbers, or people leaving the game from the 18 to 24 age group, which is worrying for the game. And also student rugby, how to keep students
interested
in the game, get them back in.
That was very popular with the Facebook and the replies underneath.
Yeah, I saw that, and it was very encouraging. And what impressed me was that the people who made the contribution, I felt you could see they care about the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And it is an issue, and there's no point. Yeah, we are strong. We've said it before. In terms of youth and mini rugby, in terms of ladies rugby, but this one age group is worrying. And there were so many ideas that I felt, well, yeah, you could try and bring them into the discussion and work a policy around it so that we could retain players in the game. So for me, they were the two standout topics. And yourself?
Well, I was doing my prep last night, and I have to agree with you. So I was reading through a lot of the comments. Watch the episodes again, which is still painful looking at yourself, isn't it? But I was reading through the comments underneath, and there was a couple of standout comments. So going back to paying players, it's sort of like a mixture of topics, really. So you've got the RFU pressing the clubs to be more professional and getting the volunteers to do more and more. And we were talking about the leagues with the seconds and the thirds and whatever. And there is a dichotomy there, because we've got this paying cap and all the whistle blowing and all of the things around that. Yet the semi-professional players are still allowed to play in an amateur league. And I don't really get it. Is there not an argument for cutting that off completely? And so the league we came out of last year was almost exactly a 50-50 split. So you got 50% of the teams paying and 50% not.
Yeah, I think that's a difficult one. Certain clubs want to pay, and I've said it before. If they want to do it, then that's up to them.
Yes.
The balance there is that if the members of that club do not wish them to pay players, then the members have to exercise their views through the appropriate channels at the AGM, etc. When you've got some sides paying and others who aren't paying, then I think you do have a difficulty in terms of standards in terms of the game. You're bound to. You've got different ethics from the clubs.
And I don't know what you can do about it.
I don't think there's much you can do. I mean, the championship, I know that's not really our remit, but the championship, to me, they don't seem to be fishing a fowl. I mean, you've got a couple of sides there that are full-time and the rest are just part-time players.
Yeah.
So it's not a balanced equal
Albeit paid
competition.
part-time
Yeah,
players.
yeah, they are. But there's still going to be a difference from a squad that works together 5 days a week to one that just comes together on a Tuesday and Thursday and does gym work.
I think there's a difference when you pay a player. I mean, I've got friends and my own son. Clubs that pay expect the players to do a lot more themselves. So even if they are only training on a Tuesday and Thursday, the clubs are expecting them to keep on top of their own physical condition, do the extra training. And I know there's a team not very far away that expect them to do a Monday morning swim to sort of get rid of the weekend and so on and so forth.
But if you want these standards,
You've got to demand that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to demand a commitment to preparation.
But at my level, I can't really demand anything out of my players because I don't pay. I've got nothing to put up the arm up their back with or anything like that. Obviously, you've got selection. So if their fitness falls down or their form drops down, well, then there's selection. Yes.
But I think it's also a lifestyle choice, isn't it, from them?
Yeah.
You know, if they'd like to do well in the game, if they would like to do well for the club, then they will make that effort. They'll go that extra 5 yards.
Yes, they will. And then as far as numbers are concerned, we touched on it when we had the talk about the second and third and fourth team and the decline. It's actually influenced me and what's going on in our club. We had a committee meeting last night where we're going to see out this season with the subs being set for an adult player, but in the expectation that there's going to be quite a lot of subs not collected from third and fourth team players because they haven't got the commitment levels, and they think, well, if I'm only going to play 4 games this season, why am I going to pay £210 or whatever? I can't remember what the fee is, but why am I going to play that? So we had a big discussion last night about match fee, and I've been looking on the internet at various different clubs, and it's a very old idea, but you can see from people's websites it still exists.
Yeah.
And somebody might be more willing to put themselves forward to play on a Saturday because they're not hiding from the membership secretary because they haven't paid their large bill.
Yes.
But if they've got to put a tenner in a jar, that might make it more attractive for them.
Yeah, and perhaps get a pint out of it after the game, as in days gone by.
Yeah. Because I do feel that these large sums is stopping people putting themselves forward for selection because they just don't have the commitment. You know, as we said under a couple of subject headings during the programmes, that there is so much more pulling players away from the game, other things in their lives and stuff like that. And if one of them is money, well, then we've got something wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have got something wrong if that is the case. But actually, just moving away slightly from that, but looking at subs, do you think though that perhaps the underage sections, the minis and the juniors, are actually their subscriptions are not high enough?
Well, that's a.
I know it might differ club to club, but I make comparisons with with certain clubs and their junior sections and what they pay. And if you compare it, say, with football or hockey, it's a lot less.
The expensive one, swimming.
Yeah, it's a lot less.
Well,
and it's quite good value.
I think it's exceptional value. A couple of seasons ago, I got taken to task by a parent over the 80 quid that their child was being, well, not the child being asked for 80 quid, but they were being asked for 80 quid for their child. And I sat them down and said, look, just hang on a second. That comes to something, the figure was something like £3.32 a session.
Yeah, and that's the use of grounds. That is
coaching courses.
Coaching courses. That is actually coaching on a Sunday morning, an hour and a half.
Pie and chips afterwards if it's a game.
Yeah.
Medical physio during the week if they need it. That's not bad value for money.
Now, we don't want actually to drive the young ones away, and I'm not advocating that, but I just think that sometimes we have to look at what we offer in the junior and mini age groups.
I don't. The majority of parents don't really complain about the kiddies' fees because the alternative is their child going the way of the Xbox or not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I think most parents would willingly pay for a structured environment for their child to take part in sport.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'd have a problem. That is quite a rare complaint. Where we do get a few complaints is about the family membership.
Yes.
But then again, of course, that gives, certainly in our club, that gives you an entitlement to go into the draw for international tickets and stuff like that, where there's costs for clubs and so on. But I think as a whole, if you're taking the subs argument down to the kids, I think rugby is a flipping cracking value for money. I don't know.
I actually believe that, and it does generate numbers in. And obviously, we go back to the original point. Then it's our job as clubs, and I think we do have to work hard. We can't keep on having a sniper twicking up to keep them in the game.
No, we can't. But I think another interesting point to make is that I'm sure my club is no different to any other club. All of this money that you get in subs from kids is ploughed back into rugby.
Yeah.
As a business model, it's probably broken.
Yeah.
But we're putting it back into rugby, and these kids are benefiting, which is why we all get up on a Sunday morning and go down to the club and provide the environment for the kids.
Yeah. Standout stories then that have come up. What would be your stories?
I'm stealing yours again. I was very surprised at the lack of comments on the show last week when we were talking about this whistleblowing business.
Yes.
And the general pay cap discussion, because what I would have thought was less emotive subjects have attracted a huge amount of comments.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there was probably only 2 or 3 last week, and for me that is a standout story.
Well, I think it's 2 stories. I think you've got whether you should have a pay cap or not. That is one aspect. But the other, I think, is how you're going to enforce it. And we've discussed that. But I think it is a standout story. And I think, I don't know, I've had a little bit of feedback on it, personal stuff. And I think there is a questioning, not necessarily of the pay cap, but how you're going to enforce it.
Yeah. Everybody I speak to says the same thing.
Yeah. And whether it's just, well, it'll go away because it's not going to be enforced. For me, the other standout story, which has only just started to break, is the no relegation from the Premiership. I know it does. Well, it will affect us. It will affect us in the national leagues, and it will go all the way through club rugby. But what? No relegation. I mean,
Where's the interest in that?
Well, the interest is from the owners of the
Exactly.
13 or 14 clubs,
Exactly.
who can see that their investments would be looked after.
I think the same situation exists as it is in American football.
Yeah, they're basically
'Cause they're
franchises,
franchise,
aren't they? Yeah. Well, are we going to go down that same route? My own point is that the RFU seem to have raised it. We've got the chief executive for the RFU saying it could be a possibility because of the length of the season. But I just wonder whether the RFU now are becoming obsessed with the professional game and that they are beginning to call the tune. And I feel that I can understand that the RFU want to keep the peace because they realise you need a strong England team. But I think that club rugby is not just the professional leagues. And in fact, would they exist if it wasn't for us subsidising youngsters who go through, and we'll just discuss it, who go through and then they cherry pick them at the age of 14 or 15, having done nothing to the development
clubs
of those
and
players.
schools, isn't it?
Yeah, it is clubs and schools. Yeah, you've got to give the schools their credit. I know when I was coaching over in Ireland that if an ex-pupil at the school or an ex-player from your club from the underage section signed a professional contract, so much money would be given by the Irish Rugby Union to the school and or the club. Yeah. Now I don't know whether that's still enforced. I must check that out. But the clubs really get nothing from it, and there just seems to be more pressure put on it. More money's going into that professional game, grassroots rugby. I'm not saying it is ignored, but I think it can do with a lot more help. Put it that way, a lot more help. What about standout results this season? Windsor winning on Saturday, 49 points.
Yeah, we're back in the shout again. There's a couple of teams that are probably 10 or 12 points ahead of us now, but it'd be probably a little bit crass of me to say that it's a standout performance. But yeah, we're on a bit of a roll at the moment. I hate talking about that because that probably means you're going to lose next week. Curse yourself. But
Well, you'll be lucky you're not playing. So
well, that's right. Yeah.
You've got 2 weeks to work off the curse.
During the prep for this programme, though, you've promised to get off the fence with some of your predictions.
Well, yeah, I think it's quite difficult. If I go for results first, I'm probably still sitting on the bench there. But I think for me, it's not so much results, but in the national leagues, you've got 4 sides that at this stage are unbeaten.
Yeah.
Going into the second round, and that is an achievement, no matter how you look at it. And I think that Coventry in National 1 deserve recognition for that. Chinner in National 2 South also unbeaten, and then in the regional leagues, Birmingham Solihull unbeaten and Preston Grasshoppers unbeaten. Now, there's a lot to go on. We've got another 4 months of competition.
Of course, yeah.
But I think
But this is a mid-season review.
It is, yeah, and I think that at this stage they've done very, very well indeed to keep these unbeaten records intact. But moving on then to, I'll give my predictions after perhaps the results roundup.
Go on,
Keep you in suspense. Well, this is the first week where I'm actually going to not going to say that Coventry have won. Well, they didn't win last Saturday because they didn't play. So their match with Tyndale was a victim of the weather. So Plymouth won against Old Albanians. They won 26-8, and therefore they go into third place. And you've got Coventry top Tyndale in second place. An interesting local derby, the Kent local derby. Old Altamians beat Blackheath, so that was a tremendous achievement for them. But that was 32-7 to 7 points. But there was a crowd there of just under 1,700 people. And I mean, a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I think they'd have been calling for the Man in White coats if you'd have predicted that game would attract numbers.
Even at a £5 a head, that's going to help the club coffers, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I was going to say, do they need it? But I'm not. I won't be controversial on that. But I mean, nevertheless, that's a magnificent achievement to get that interest, to generate that interest. I suppose we need to deal with the bottom clubs. In that league, you've got Filer at the bottom at the moment. Old Albanians a second on 18s. You've got Filer on 17. Albanians on 18 points. Then you've got Hull Ionians, Rosslyn Park, Loughborough Students. It's all quite close there. So I'd give no predictions really on relegation there. Filer are a proud club. They're an old established club. I don't think they'll be content with their league position and will be determined to do something about that coming into the new year. And with the likes of Rosslyn Park and also Loughborough Students, I think would have a similar attitude. In National 2 North, Tyndale and Sale didn't play. Leaders Hinckley crumbled under the pressure of leading that division. They were beaten 12-8 by Chester, who are mid-table. Now, Sedgley Park managed to win at Sheffield 31-14, which was good. Stourbridge, who hadn't won a game in 5 matches, beat Macclesfield 39-25. So, in the league, Hinckley still retain top spot, but Tyndale and Sale have games in hand. At the bottom, again, it's quite close, and any side could be dragged into it. Wharfdale are down the bottom at the moment, but they're a club again with a proud history in these leagues since their origin, and they worked their way up into National 1. They stayed there for a number of years, and they were a permanent fixture, and then they come down to this level. So again, I think there's a desire. They'll want to scrap. They'll want to get out of it. And then you've got Sheffield, Luctonians, Macclesfield, and even Otley, another club with a reputation who would want to to extricate themselves from this position. Macclesfield were relegated last year from National 1, but their coach Giles Hegarty, I know him quite well, will be pushing these boys and emphasise the importance now. New year, new start. You've got to push on.
But it's so close in that league. It's not a foregone conclusion that any one of those at the bottom are going to go down. It's far too early.
I think National 2. Well, you've got to look at Chinner. They beat Canterbury at home 41-7 at the weekend. they retain top spot. You've got Cinderford involved in a 12-try spectacular with Bury St Edmunds. They made Cinderford score 7, Bury got 5 of them. Very exciting, entertaining game. So you've got Chin at top, 71 points, and you've got Cinderford on 70 points. Now, a major surprise at the weekend, certainly for me, and I think a lot of followers of that league, were that Taunton went down to Tonbridge Juddians by 26-20, and that means Redigensian's Rams move into third place. So I don't want to gloss on that, on 57 points. But there is that gap between the top two, and the Rams are now in third.
You have got a soft spot for Taunton, haven't you?
And Taunton are in fourth. Well, I don't know. They just seem to have this habit of just losing it. But we'll see. At the bottom of that league, I think it's far more defining. Actually, you've got. I'll put my neck out here. I think you've got Wimbledon.
Good,
I think
they're
they'll
in
go.
trouble.
Broad Street, I think they'll go. And Old Reds. Yeah, there's a gap now, and these sides have got to start winning. And quickly, and everyone's going to be aware of their predicament. So that is not going to be a particularly easy situation. If I move on to the regional leagues, Guernsey had a good win over Sutton and Epsom, 40-30, 19. So they stay top, but Hertford have a game in hand. The last Saturday they managed to beat Shelford 31-5, so they're in second. You've got Tring in third after winning at Towcestrians, and you've got Barnes after winning 22-21 at Tunbridge in fourth.
Tight old game.
It's a tight game and very tight league. I wouldn't. That's going to be very difficult. That all sides, all bets are off there. I would say every side.
All in with a shout.
Yeah, and I mean, it won't be a prediction because I know Jamie Turner, their coach, won't encourage me to do that. But Barnes do have an experience of playing at a higher level, of knowing when to turn it on. And I think they have had injury problems. You just wonder about whether they'll just have that edge. They know what to do in these situations. At the bottom, you've got Towcestrians 13 points and Southend 17. I mean, Southend were in the National 2, have come down. They're struggling in this league. And Westcombe Park now have crept into that zone. So, they're going to have to up their games. In the Midlands, we've got Birmingham, Solihull. They've been 2 weeks without a game. They're still top. Nobody's really come near them. Peterborough Lions beat Derby at the weekend. But so Birmingham is still top, and Peterborough a second, and Newport a third. The bottom, Halesonians, I think, are gone.
Gone, yeah.
New Boulder on 16 points. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be easy. They haven't been winning matches at all, obviously, but they've got to get into that habit. Winning is a habit. It's quite difficult then to get that. Longton are just above them, and Lichfield, they could be dragged into this. But in the north, again, Preston, they were 14-7 winners over Wirral, and they're 12 points clear of Hull, who won 41-12 at Pocklington. Limdrew 25 all at Billingham, so they're in third place. Preston, I think, will win that league. I would sit my neck out there, and I think that I don't know who's going to go for the playoff. I think it's Hull or Lim, obviously, but I think between those two. Southwest is intriguing.
Yeah, it is.
Dings, 54 points, unanswered points against Hornets. They're 12 points clear of Newton Abbot, who have reversed their recent run of poor form by beating Western 16-8. But it's tight for the playoff spot because you've got Bournemouth, who drew at Bracknell. You've got Maidenhead, who had put in a little bit of a spur, went to Cleveland on Saturday, went down 44-33. But they're still in the mix for that playoff spot, as are Exmouth. And 6 points cover those sides. At the bottom, you've got Hornets, 13 points. I think, they could be doomed. Lydney, they are a club with a proud history in these leagues. They had been regularly in the National 2 South and always a threat. They've gone down. They're struggling at the moment. I think there would be a great pressure, sort of locally, community spirit to come on board. There's a bit of pride here we need to stay in this league. And it's not easy to see, what other sides will be drawn into it. Bracknell are third from bottom, but they're on 26 points. A good draw with Bournemouth, and
Bournemouth being third bottom and third top.
They've won 4 games, and above them you've got Newbury, who've won 6 games, are on 29 points, and then you've got Ivybridge. So I'd go for Hornets, but for the rest, I wouldn't put money on any of those. No. It's not easy to do. I just looked at a couple of leagues. The lower Southwest I thought was interesting. In the Old Pats, again unbeaten. I think that they're going to go up from Southeast, from the Southwest East League, and in the West University, Exeter Uni are making good progress. Games this weekend. Well, you're turning back the clock. Back in the day now, when Moseley and Coventry would attract crowds of 5,000 or 6,000. And they're playing each other this weekend, and I think there'll be a big interest in that.
That'll be a good one to watch with a couple of pints for Christmas, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Another game, really, of 2 sides that have come up from the lower leagues recently. So you've got Bishop Stortford against Old Eltanian. So I think that will be another interesting one in National 1. And then Blackheath against Rosslyn Park, again a traditional fixture which goes back years before the advent of leagues, and that will be quite interesting from my perspective, because Rosslyn Park have got to get out of this relegation zone, and a win at Blackheath would certainly go some way towards achieving that. In 2 North, I look at Tyndale against Blaydon. That is a local derby of some significance in the locality. And then National 2 South, you've got Henley playing Chinner, an all Oxfordshire derby. And Henley now have had a good run of form, and Chinner are unbeaten, and we've given them credit, but I don't think they'll find that easy on Saturday. And actual league position and league form, I often feel it goes out the window with local derbies.
Henley's a nice place to go and watch rugby now, because they've done a lot of work on their clubhouse.
They have, yeah. It's very nice, very pleasant environment. But anyway, some great games at the weekend. So get your shopping done before tomorrow. And
I haven't even started.
It means you won't be watching any rugby at the weekend.
The only one I've got is yours, of course.
Oh right, okay, fine. Yeah. Likewise. But look, get out and watch a game this week if you can for the national leagues. Some great matches, and a Merry Christmas to you all, and a very, very happy and successful New Year.
Happy Christmas, everybody. Cheers.